in the long run, they will not survive this.
No,
they won't.
No.
And here's why.
The tragedy of the Palestinians is that they have essentially no international support for a good reason. They don't have wealth, they don't have power, so they don't have rights. That's the way the world works. You know, your rights correspond to your power and your wealth. Same inside the United States. We shouldn't be surprised to see it. If you're a poor black kid in Roxbury, you don't have the rights of a rich person living in the suburbs, right? Same in the international arena. So the Palestinians, I mean, they may get, statements of support, but and nobody's going to do much for them, especially when the U.S. Threatens anyone who might try to do something.
How old is that?
This was from 2014.
Okay.
But
more than 10 years ago.
October 7th. October 7th.
I know.
What's called the national interest turns out to be the interest of dominant domestic forces in U.S. society. So the national interest means the interests of the very rich, major corporations, the ones who set government policy and so on. That's the national interest, and not the population. The population is basically irrelevant. The population often strongly opposes government policy, and they're simply disregarded. Overwhelmingly, people say there should be much higher taxes on the wealthy. What happens? Taxes on the wealthy go down. And it's the same on issue after issue. We do not live in a society in which the public determines policy.
Thank you.
The public's around, but they're basically disregarded unless they force themselves to into the
and
system
there it is.
Serious activism.
And
we're at that point. We'll see. And we're at the point where the serious activism hasn't worked. And that's why we're going to the next level. And I understand what Lopez was saying before about, no, I don't want to live in a world of the purge. I don't want that. I wanted Bernie Sanders.
Me too.
We offered the easier way. And I don't want any of this Hunger Game predatory capitalist shit. So unfortunately, violence does beget violence. But here's the thing. The level of violence is always dictated by the oppressor, not the oppressed. You don't tell the people that are revolting how to revolt when every peaceful method has been basically squashed. So that's the problem. So no, I don't want to live in that world, but we do live in that world. So that's where I'm at with it. And I, Noam Chomsky, good and bad, whatever, he's the shit.
Yeah, and he is, and his message has never wavered. And that's why it's so important where you recognize that that's why his statement is so important, being that he's a Jewish man. And there are not as many people within the community that speak up in the capacity that they should.
Certainly not in 2014. We weren't seeing that.
No. So that even shows you just how much more ahead of his time he's really always been. But then again, he's debated James Baldwin. He was on with...
why would he be debating James Baldwin?
Well, it wasn't really a debate. It was more of just like a philosophical discussion.
Okay, I was going to say, I would think they'd be on the same page more than not. I don't know what they would be
debating absolutely. About. Yeah, well, it was Buckley who had them on.
And, wow.
You know how his philosophy was.
Whatever.
The original austerity man.
Well, I mean, like if I were going to add another person to my muse mix, it would probably be James Baldwin. So it's like, I can't, I wouldn't,
So I know you guys certainly appreciate the statement, if you will, the sort of rationalization, if you want to call it that, as to why we live in a country where bribery is what works, because that's what it is. You could call it 1,000 different things, but when you get right down to it, we live in a system of corporate bribery where the richest of the rich, like the Musks, the Zuckerbergs, the Bezoses, and the Gateses of the world, this is who, it's amazing how I just said those four names and it wasn't intentional that I was addressing them specifically, but that is exactly who.
So funny.
This is there's got to be a good nick because we can't call them the barbershop quartet.
No, it's the brawligarchy.
The brawligarchy quartet.
Well, that was the joke. It's like brawligarchs, which is so absurd that we're even having this discussion. Like it's so ridiculous. But like this is really, to me, like I really do feel like I'm watching some sort of combination of world wrestling and the Hunger Games.
Nobody forgot Soros' medal, whether it's George or his son Alex.
We don't like any of them,
We're
but
all
these
saying-
are the four that we mostly are talking about in the news, Metal. We're not forgetting. We brought up Soros earlier.
Imagine
Nobody
if
gets a pass here. We don't like any. I don't care what language my oligarchs speak. You could put Putin on there. You could put any of them on there. It's capital is the problem. All right.
Yeah, and there is, and Manwith, I don't know if I agree with you, because I will tell you that if Kamala did win, you probably would see Alex Soros have a pretty prominent, visible position in the Harris administration. Now, certainly not at the level that Elon is involved in, but most people would have known that in excess of probably somewhere between $50 and $100 million, Alex Soros facilitated into Kamala's campaign. Maybe more.
How'd that work out for you? How'd that work out for you,
Well,
Alex?
not only that, I mean, people forget, everyone talks about how much money Musk gave to the Trump campaign. Kamala raised triple that amount. So yes, they're all guilty, but it's true. Well, so then Jen, who is Larry, who is Curly, who's Mo, and who's the Grinch?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I mean,
who's the I guess
well, Bezos is the Grinch. But
now I would say that Gates is probably Larry. I would say no. Larry is
what about Shemp?
Shemp. No, I would say that
That was before
Larry.
Curly.
Larry is definitely Zuckerberg. I would say that.
I don't know what you're basing this on.
I would say that. I would say that Musk is Mo, or no, is Curly.
Can I say fundamentally that I've always truly believed that one of the key differences between men and women is whether or not you find the Three Stooges funny, and I think that. Yeah. See, and I it's just so not funny to me.
Well, you don't like stupid humor.
I like some stupid humor, but it still has to be smart. But no. If you seriously, if you're a female person, biologically or otherwise, in the chat, let me know if you think the Three Stooges was funny. Because I honestly, to me, that's like, my dad loves it. My mom and I can't figure it out. I've never understood it. Jason thinks it's funny. Like, it's just so, I don't get it.
We're going to conclude.
In my experience, it's a stupid man thing.
Well, we're going to conclude on a funny note, because if you want to understand why the system is the way that it is, I was once, if you guys remember, the guy who did the infomercials, his name was Vince, and he would do the slap chop, he would do the shticky. Do you remember?
Wait, what is this from? Wait, what are we doing?
The mid 2000s, I guess. I think that's about how far back it goes.
Oh,
but the guy who played Vince, who did these infomercials for the shticky and for the slap chop, and I think he did a few. The ShamWow guy. That's who it is.
You're making me like? Is this like the new incarnation of like George Popeil?
No, God, you sound like you sound like a boomer. You don't even sound like.
I'm gonna hang up on you. I'm gonna X you out. I'm gonna remove you.
So this is a parody of the ShamWow guy, and this
Thank you, Chris.
This absolutely nails the corruption within our political system.
Hi, Vince here with LobbyWow. I'm going to tell you how you can turn your tens of millions of dollars into literally billions. Here's how. The government hands out money all the time and rules favorably for big business every day. I bet you ask yourself, why am I such a stupid piece of crap? How do I get my hands on some of that sweet, sweet cash? Everything you tried doesn't work. You tried voting, but that never works. You tried calling your senator? I bet you have, you useless piece of crap. What about bribing your congressman? What do you want to go to jail? LobbyWow takes this useless bribe and turns it into a campaign contribution. There's literally nothing democratic about it. It works with drugs, it works with corn, it works with healthcare. So look at this great bowl of beef. What's wrong with it? Too expensive. You gotta sell 100% beef on the open market. Be way more profitable if you could cut it with some kind of cheap filler like you do your cocaine. But hey, that's illegal. All right, take a look at this. You getting this, camera guy? Oh, look at that, those regulations that come right off. No more regulations means I can do whatever I want. Look it, you had your wood pulp, the ammonia, some of the pink slime. Have a little fun, I got some feces here, look at that. Crawfish. Sell those extra missiles to the army, even though they didn't ask for them in the first place. Look at this. That's usually a big mess. Not with Lobby Wow. Look at these chumps. You get a great return on investment. It works on both parties. And if you go here right now, because I can't do this all day, you're going to get a sweet briefcase full of hot cash. Lobby Wow. It's going to have you saying, holy shit, I can't believe this is legal.
So I have no idea who that guy was. I mean, obviously that's who you were talking about from before, but it was really funny.
So for anybody who's seen the Sham Wow commercial, that's who's being mimicked there. But my God, if that is not
so funny,
well, as Orlando says, that was epic. And it was. That's exactly what it was.
Funny.